Good morning, everybody. What's going on this beautiful Saturday morning? College football is underway, and we are live with the last week of the regular season. I may cry after this show, but we are here. We are live. We are direct into your ears, into your eyes, and into your skulls. It is GunzPicks, GUNZPICKS. Oh, yes. As we get ready for this beautiful slate, make sure I get my guy on here. Pimp Slap is joining me as well. He did freeze up there for a second, but he is back, and we are ready to go. What's going on, Mike? How you doing this beautiful Saturday morning?
What up, Guns? Happy Saturday. Shout out to this chat, all ready to rock and roll. 10 a.m. Eastern. You guys are ready to crack, and so are we, man. It's going to be a great day. This is a lot of fun. Hard to believe we're already here with college football. 1 week before conference championships, and then away we go to the bowl season and college football playoffs. So it just seems like it flew. It seems like we were just talking about week 1 and week 2. So Let's go. Let's get into this thing here and see if we can't try to put the fruits of our labor from this season to work here and turn it into cash.
Yeah, this season always goes quick for me. But if you haven't been into this show before, if you haven't been part of this chat, this is for you guys. You ask the questions. Bring your plays. We bring the opinions. We will talk to you guys interactively as the show goes along. We'll also give a lot of picks. We'll talk about the top 25 games. Of course, we got to talk about Michigan, Ohio State in a minute. But let's just get into the chat right now. An opportunity to dominate. Nick Dial is in. What's going on? He's on his way bass fishing. No other show I'd rather watch for this drive. And, of course, Stacks Justin McIvey joining in, giving his play. He loves Virginia in the rivalry with Virginia Tech today at home. That is 106 and 100 is the record. Transparency is key. And, of course, the smoke is in the building. Give him the horn. And I think Mike froze up again. We'll get him out of there. Make sure he gets fixed there. What up, punks? He says, you dirty bastard. I wonder if he's out there whipping up some I don't know, smoking a brisket or something. I don't know what you're doing today. Maybe drinking a little whiskey out there in the southern states. Jose is joining. Goes, yup, Guns, Mike. And Sharky Waters Nation, give him the horn for that one as well. And, of course, Justin loves Pimp Slap. He'll be back. I think his computer froze up. He's probably restarting. Don't fret. He's coming back. All right. Let's just do this right now. Let's just talk about, let me give out my first play here for the people to feast on. I was looking at this one last night. I like to play in the dirtiest of dirties. I like to play the ones that probably nobody's going to be watching on TV today. It's MAC Conference football, meaningless conference MAC football. And we're going to be going here with Miami, Ohio versus Ball State. This game kicks off here at noontime, so it's an early game. I'm going to be going with Ball State on this one. I think this is a super motivated point here. I'll get Mike back in here.
Yeah,
Mike, there he is. I'm just going to talk about one of my plays here. I'm just giving one of my picks. Let's talk about this game right here. Ball State coming off back-to-back wins. 3 out of their last 4 in conference. 4-7 straight up. 6-4-1 ATS for Ball State this season. Now you got Miami, Ohio. They're absolutely smoking. 9-2 straight up in ATS this season. And they're already locked in for the MAC Conference Championship next week. And they're off a win versus Buffalo, 23-10, plus 48 net yards in that spot. Now, Ball State has played very motivated in the back half of the season. They have a plus 10-point differential, plus 91 net yard average in that span in their last 5 games. And they're 5-0 ATS in their last 5 as well. When you look at Miami, Ohio, as they played well all season, they played really sloppy in their last 2 weeks versus Akron and Buffalo, barely beating them in the yardage battle in both contests. And their offense average was 60 yards below their season average in both of those spots. So what you see is a team that's kind of just going through the motions, really playing in neutral, and then basically trying to finish the season. And a lot of that has to do with the production of the offense. The production of the offense has been hurt because Brett Gabbert out for the season. Now, which has suffered big time for the offense. Avion Smith is going to be taking over. He only has a 50% pass completion rate and 1 touchdown pass in 4 starts. They've been basically one-dimensional, trying to run the ball on everybody. So when Miami, Ohio is one-dimensional, Ball State's defense can actually stop the run. They're actually pretty decent at that. 3.3 yards per carry given up to their opponents in their last 4 games. Then when Ball State plays Miami, Ohio, in the last 3 matchups, they play within a possession. You look last year, they lost 18-7, 18-17. 2021, they lost 24-17. 2020, they lost 38-31. So they're right on the cusp of beating this team in Miami, Ohio. And if you look at this matchup, the home team is 3-2 straight up in their last 8. Ball State 4-1 ATS at home this season, 2-1 ATS as a home dog, and 5-2 ATS in the conference. But Miami, Ohio, granted, red hot, crushing everybody in the conference. But lately, I've seen some drop off with this team, whereas Ball State really doesn't have anything to play for. They don't have a bowl game. They don't have enough wins. But I think they're going to finish the season on a good note. Staple game. Let's go beat maybe the potential champ in the MAC conference here. Give me Ball State here, plus 5.5, 2-unit play, added play for the show. Have you looked into the MAC, Mike?
Yeah.
That's a try. MAC Mike. There you go.
Got a lot of going on there with Miami on top of that too, right? But I like this game. I like the look here quite a bit. I think, in terms of motivation and spots and what these teams are playing for, 2 different, kind of scenarios for these teams here. Miami, Ohio, first and foremost, just trying to stay healthy, maybe work on a couple of last minute things there to get into that MAC championship and try to go out there and get the job done. On the flip side, we might have a couple of different motivation spots going on for Ball State. First and foremost, you talked about that opportunity to go out there and, we called it, part of I don't know how far we into the stream here, but we used to call it the let's fuck their day up philosophy when I was growing up playing hockey. And
right.
The idea is, hey, here's a team that's a potential championship contender. Let's go out there and let's fuck their day up. And, that's very much a big motivation spot for them. I think second motivation factor for them here is these 2 teams met last year, same time, same place. And, what happened is, Miami, Ohio came back, huge comeback for Miami, Ohio. They were both on the cusp of making a bowl game, and it was Miami, Ohio that was able to come through and kind of beat them to get that premier spot or that better opportunity from a bowl game. And then the third piece of it, if you look at the coach, Mike News, the coach for Ball State, he's 16-6 as a dog in the MAC. So that goes back 5 seasons. And, when he's got a team with a non-losing record, they're 10-2. So he plays very well. He gets the team really motivated to come into these types of games here where they are a slate dog here, 5 points or 6 points. And it makes sense to me. I like the Ball State. I like the points. I don't think that there's going to be that, fire that you saw from Miami, Ohio at the start of the season. So give me Ball State. I'm with you.
Yeah, I would say even sprinkle a little bit on the money line as well, because I think Ball State could win this game outright. Sure enough line there, within 1 possession. I don't think Miami, Ohio is going to be play up in this game, and it's really a meaningless game for them as well. As we get back into the chat, Smoke loves it. He loves Ball State today. And, of course, we got to give shout out to Jared Emery. First time tuning in. Let's eat today. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, buddy. Hit the horn for him. And we're going to Football Guy. Oh, he's in the chat. Feels like totals Saturday to me. He's looking at some totals. He likes the over in Virginia and Virginia Tech today. And, of course, Lee Mathis joining us, pimping guns to the bank, baby. Let's hit it. Let's give him a yeah for that one. Yeah. And of course, the Candyman always in the building. It's bright and sunny here in VA. Look to Virginia Tech with the points in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Tough one here on the road, but hell, I think Virginia Tech does own Virginia overall. But let's talk about, let's get into some of these rivalry games. And you know what? Before we do that, I want Mike to fire off some of the plays that he likes today. Mike, take it away.
Oh, boy. Floor is mine here, right? A couple spots that I like here. I saw the chat comment there about the totals day. I was kind of thinking that myself. When I started looking at the card on the upfront, did feel like there was a lot of spots there for unders. Frankly, I saw a lot of unders. And kind of when I was capping this card here, we're late in the season. We've got teams that are trying to get into the bowl games and not make any big, stupid mistakes there to kind of get themselves knocked out and shoot themselves in the foot. The bowl games are so important for these teams because it gives them that extra time to practice. They get 3 or 4 extra weeks to practice. That transfers their seasons around and potentially, picks up into that following year because of the guidelines around how these players can practice and what their times look like if they're student athletes. it's a big deal for them to get those spots. So I was looking at the unders kind of with that kind of same vein of process there and thinking, here's a spot where we're going to see a lot of lower scoring games today. I think that big one we're going to talk about, that Ohio State Michigan game, is an opportunity to get there as well. A couple spots that I did jump in on though. Indiana, I took the 6.5 against Purdue on the road, getting the touchdown. Kind of, again, teams in the opposite directions, try to look for the story being told by each of these teams here. And we know Purdue's dealing with, they've got a new coach in there this season. Lots of things going on. They brought in a Texas transfer quarterback as well. But on the flip side of things with Indiana and their coach, he's potentially on the hot seat. This could very well be the last game he has to go out there and coach the team. So I think the boys get up. I think they get motivated for him. I love that 6.5. I see the number continues to move. And frankly, I like it. I like the fact that we're moving. I used to be one of those guys that didn't get too excited when the line was moving against me. I see 61% of the bets and 64% of the cash on Indiana, and they're continuing to move that point. It was 6 this morning when I first looked at it. It's 6.5 now. I jumped in all over that one. So I like that Indiana spot. Another team that I looked at here for the 12 o'clock window, just kind of going through the slate itself here. I looked for Louisville. I love this Louisville spot against Kentucky. I think it's a real difficult position here. Two things going on for Louisville in terms of that motivation spot. Some teams are packing it in and they don't really care at this point of the season. But I think in Louisville, first and foremost, when they're home on a Saturday, they're 9-0 straight up. They're 9-0 against the spread, and they're covering the spread by over 12 points. Then I looked at the other side of the house and say this is a revenge game too from the previous year. So double motivation spot for Louisville to come out there and get the job done. And then I double dipped this thing here. I teased Louisville and I teased it with LSU. So I got LSU at -6 and I teased it with Louisville -1.5. So -1.5 and a -6. I know you're not a big guy in the college teaser circuit, but that seems to be where it works for me. So I ran with that one. And then the last spot that I like it in this 12 o'clock window is this Northern Illinois. I took the under in this game. This is one of those spots where it exactly felt, we opened up at 45. We're down to 44.5. So there's even some 44s, 65% of the bets, but 96% of the cash, all that big money, sharp money, coming in on this under and expecting it to be a lower scoring game. Kent State's terrible. They're just terrible. That's the end of the cap. They're 1-10. As far as who they've played and who they've beaten, they've gotten beat down. Ball State, we just talked about Ball State and how challenging they are from an offense, and they're not playing for anything other than potential revenge. They whooped them 34-3, Kent State. Bowling Green smacked them around 49-19. Akron beat them up 31-27, and Akron's not having any kind of a season to be writing home about at this point. They even lost to Buffalo 24-6, and if you're losing to Buffalo, your season is in your shitter. That being said, NIU shuts down Western Michigan. All the motivation in the world for Western Michigan last week to come out and try to get it done, and NIU came out on top of that thing, and they play a defensive-oriented game. 4 of their last 5 games have been over in conference, and I think that's just a big under spot. I'm sorry, under. I said over. I meant under in the conference play. And I just think if you look at their opponents, they're scoring 20 points pretty consistently, and they're holding their opponents to less than 2 touchdowns. So I feel like that under 44.5 is probably one of my favorite spots on the card.
Beautiful, beautiful. Firing out the plays, loving the unders. Hey, I like that Louisville look as well. That line was at 7. I saw this morning it's at 8 now, so it's moving in that direction. Louisville at home, 3x revenge in that spot as well. I can't knock you off of Louisville today over a Kentucky team that's just lost in directionalists with Stoops running the show over there. Let's get into some of the chat here. It said the Smitty in the building says, just stay away from that Michigan game. He doesn't like how it smells. And then, of course, Wine Time joining us. What's up, my guy? Give him the horn. What's going on, brother? And then Dan Delp in the building says, up guys, go blue. And he likes football guy likes the over in Louisville, Kentucky today. 49.5 is the number. And Louisville, listen, they're explosive at home. I can't tell you not to take that one. But let's talk about some of these big games that are on the board. Let's talk about the game that's on the board. We're talking Ohio State and Michigan.
Literally the game.
In the big house. This is for playoff entries. I don't think they're going to – whoever wins this game is going to have their own position in the CFP, regardless of what happens next week. So it is Ohio State. It is Michigan. Not much more to say. No Harbaugh on the sidelines. He's probably in a Motel 6 watching it on a monitor, talking to his coaches, but we will see. What are your thoughts on Ohio State, Michigan, if you have any, Mike?
Yeah, so my initial thought was the under in this game here, but then I kind of took pause to it because I thought, well, Ohio State's they are capable of putting up points, but the big three and the Big Ten for me are, Ohio State, Michigan, and then Penn State. And every time those teams played each other, they've been unders. So I think we see more of the same in this game here. The under has dropped quite a bit. There's been quite a bit of steam on that under from, the early look ahead spots here, but we see 45.5 now. 72% of the bet, 73% of the cash sitting there on that under. And I agree with it. I think that this is an opportunity for these two teams to play tight. They don't want to give anything away. There's very high likelihood that they could meet themselves again in the playoffs, depending on how the outcome of this game goes. The one number I'll share with you guys is when you got Ohio State and they're in a dog roll, right? Doesn't happen very often, but they're 14-0 against the spread when they're lying between a 3 and a 9-point dog. So here we are with this 3 right now. There were some 3.5s earlier today. We're starting to see some downtick. 14-0. Now, in a game like this, I think you got to kind of throw some of those numbers out the window. But I do feel like Ohio State and kind of being able to get out there and generate offense. I mean, that Marvin Harrison's phenomenal as a wide receiving guy, catches everything thrown in his direction. It doesn't matter if it's high, if it's low, if it's outside of him, if it's inside of him, he just finds a way to get it done. And I think that's going to kind of be what the story is here. Is there going to be a big wide receiver play in a lower scoring game at the end of this thing that gets the job done? So, I'm going to go with the under. I just haven't decided fully how invested I want to get in the Ohio State side.
Yeah, Justin in the chat, he says let's take the 3.5, the 3 in the hook with Ohio State. I just think it's a weird number for me. I'm not going to play with the side on this one. I'm going to talk about the total here. So when you look at this, let's split this up into a half here. Let's talk about the first half numbers here for Ohio State and Michigan. Ohio State only gives up 4.6 points per game in the first half this season. Michigan only gives up 5. Granted, the competition, it's a little different element here, different offenses, of course, but this is the total is 45.5, depending on what book you get it at. This is the lowest total they have seen in this rivalry since 2016. The over is hit in the last 9 meetings. Eventually, the levy's got to break. Last year's number was 56, and before that was like 64. So now these numbers are dropping. You're starting to see that maybe the books are saying there's probably a under element to this game. I just think that we're just going to split this in half. I like the first half under here, and I'm going to be taking them here at 23 as a 1.5 unit play. I just think it's going to be a rock fight here early. 2 solid defenses. Both are great against the run. Both are great against the pass. That's their strength. You have a new quarterback in the rivalry in McCord. This is the first time having to deal with this element. He has to do it on the road. So there may be some nerves there. And then you have a no head coach on the sideline for Michigan. And you've seen it in the last game or two. I can't tell if it's because he's not on the sideline that they're just running the ball and they're not really getting opened up on the offensive play calling, or if it's something that they're just trying to hide from Ohio State this week. I don't know what it is, but I feel like the first half is going to be like 2 dogs sniffing their own asses, trying to figure each other out. And then when it comes to the second half, maybe things open up a little bit. So I'm going to cut this in half, cut this total in half. I'm going to be taking the under 23, 1.5 unit play on that game. That's how I'm playing it today.
Man, I have some PTSD from unders in the first half this last 3 days. So, the NFL, over. College football yesterday, some first half unders that went over. So I'm a little apprehensive about that there. But I like the look. I mean, certainly it supports what I'm thinking about as far as the lower scoring game.
I mean, yesterday, NFL was ridiculous yesterday on that under. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. All he had to do was he was thinking about who was it? Was it Mosford or something like that? That he was thinking about just going down, and then he decided, fuck it, I'm just gonna score.
Ran into the house to kill the under. Damn, I still couldn't believe that happened. I was like, holy cow, what a so you got me 2 days in a row with those overs, and it's been a huge. I know we're talking college, but
yeah,
the NFL's been a big over spot here early this week. So I'm just I'm a little apprehensive about it, but I like it. I like the look, and I think they're capable. Both these teams are capable of shutting the other down. And I love this comment in the chat. Where was it there? Football Guy 97, OSU, only road team to not allow points in the first quarter of this year. That's got to break at some point, but that's a great stat. I mean, that's a hell of a way to start the game. That shows when they're coached up very well to get the job done here. And this is what this could very well come down to from a side in this game. If you had to put the gun to my head, I would have to go with Ohio State, given that coaching advantage, because there is no coach on the other side of the game. So
right.
I love when that, who's the guy there, the backup coach there that won that game against Penn State, and it was like they barely won. They got the job done.
Is it Sharon? Is that his last name? I think
so. Yeah. Bawling like a baby on the sidelines, talking about the team and how hard they fight. And I was like, dude, you barely won that game. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Get off the fucking field.
You just played Maryland. Relax.
Yeah, that's right.
But I think it's just gonna be a rock fight here early. I mean, I know this game usually opens up in the scoring historically, but I mean, 9 times in a row. Do you think it can be 10 overs in a row and the total's at 45? We'll see.
I'm a big fade guy too at the 10 numbers, Guns. You know, when I start to see those 10s, I start going the other way just because it's hard to do anything 10 times in a row in a professional or collegiate level and in general. So when the streaks get to 10, it's certainly time to start taking a look at the other side.
Absolutely. And as I'm sitting here drinking a fresh cup of coffee, it reminds me to reflect and look at the sunrise across the horizon and realize, oh, wait, it is time for the cup of coffee parlay. Let's go. Cup of coffee parlay, sponsored by Viva Tequila Seltzers. 0 carbs, 0 sugar, 4.5 ABV. Go check them out at vivaseltzer.com. Let's talk about the cup of coffee parlay today. Whoa, that's a tongue twister there. Cup of coffee parlay. There we go. I'm already too deep in this cup of coffee, so bear with me here. I'm going to be talking like the Micro Machine Man. Let's Washington money line, Jackson State money line, Clemson money line, NC State money line, Bama money line, UGA money line, San Jose State money line, live dog there, Louisville money line. We talked about them. I'm going to take Coastal Carolina +8. I'm too chicken to take them on the money line versus JMU. App State money line, Notre Dame money line, Texas State +6 as well. That is a +8,643 parlay. So you put $10, you win $846.30 on that parlay. So get at it there. And I'm not in only for today, for you lucky listeners and watchers all over the country, you'll not only get one, but you get two for the price of one. We're going to give we're going to go doggies on this one, except for one. We're going to go Ball State money line, Tulsa money line. They're going to be playing ECU today. I think they're a live dog there. San Jose money line, they're playing UNLV. Fraudulent 10-1 team. Jackson State money line, NC State money line. That is +4,708. So there are the parlays there. You have yourself a 5-legger, and you have yourself a 10-legger. Is that right? I think I counted that right. All right. Let's talk about the next game up here. And I think we've already exhausted Kentucky and Louisville. Let's talk about the Iron Bowl. Let's talk about Bama. Let's talk about Auburn. Auburn coming off one of the most egregious losses to New Mexico State. New Mexico State, a 25-point dog, going to Auburn and smacked the dog shit out of them. Now you're seeing them sit here at like 15, 16 is the line on this one. You have Bama. You know, this still is a rivalry. This still is competitive. And the coach on the sideline for Auburn does know Alabama pretty well. What are your thoughts on this Iron Bowl, Mike?
I mean, this is probably the best rivalry in the SEC, in my opinion, when these two teams, it doesn't matter how bad Auburn is and how great Bama's doing. When they get together, it is a dogfight. And, I think the tough part for me is looking at a game where you've got a situation where Auburn just got smoked by New Mexico State, right? I mean, New Mexico State at home on top of it, coming off of back-to-back road wins too, where I thought Auburn was kind of turning the corner. So, they beat Mississippi State. They go out there, they beat Vanderbilt on the road. They beat Arkansas on the road, 48-10, convincingly beat those pigs. And then they get slapped in the mouth by New Mexico State. So was that the recalibration game there where it was like, all right, now we're kind of we are who we are, and now you kind of know who we are when it comes down to looking at these numbers from a Vegas perspective. Right. I think it gives us that opportunity, though, because they just got smacked in the mouth, to get a buy low opportunity on Auburn. So you're kind of selling high on Bama, you're buying low on Auburn. Now, I don't know that Auburn really comes in there to is it a backdoor cover? I'm not sure how they get there at the end, but 14 points is what I see on DraftKings. It's down to 13.5 everywhere else. And I can't believe I'm in a position to do this, but I think I got to go with Auburn. I know 6-5, but these teams play hard, man. And you got Auburn at home. You got Bama taking the road. Now it's a 10-1 Bama team, so they're going to be motivated not to lose this game. But I just think the points are kind of wonky because of what happened last week with the New Mexico State game. So I love finding an opportunity to exploit the books like that. Crack them open, smack them in the mouth, and let's take that plus 14 points.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. They're playing at home, so that's an advantage there for Auburn. They're sitting here as a double-digit dog, but that doesn't matter in this rivalry. I think we've seen this position with Auburn before, and they've taken them into overtime, or they've taken them down to the last possession in these spots. And I think this is another type of situation that you could probably see that, and it's a perfect position to take Auburn because, like you said, the stock has dropped off them. They just lost to New Mexico State, right? I'm sure the coaches beat the piss out of them. I'm sure Hugh Freeze really took it out on his team this week, knowing that Auburn was on deck. He has beaten Auburn. You've seen him do it at Mississippi. I think it's going to be a very competitive match. Alabama really is just sitting here waiting for that next game. All they have to do is just get through this spot. They're not going to go out there and try to kill their team. This rivalry. They're looking ahead. They got to play Georgia next week. Playoff implications, a lot of pressure on this team, a team that probably nobody thought was going to even be in this position, but now they are. And I think Auburn is going to give their best effort here. And I think the only play here is Auburn. You just got to take the plus the points. You got to stomach it. They're right off a loss. They won 3 straight before that, and they actually, they played Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, and Arkansas, and dominated in all those spots. Yeah, I think it's Auburn or pass for me on this one. Maybe something that I take personally as a, maybe a unit play or something like that, but I like the position in Auburn over Bama.
Yeah. And I'll tell you some stats that, so I'll use a lot of trends to push me into a play, but sometimes it'll push me off a play as well. And this is one of those games where it kind of jumps out at me where I see, when the previous game, they had more than 300 rushing yards going back the last 2 seasons, and their opponents averaging less than 225 rushing yards. It's a 20-19 spread spot. So it's a coin flip. It's not that domination you would want to see when you've got a team that, confidently can march that ball down the field with their offense and keep the chains moving, keep the other team off the field. What we're seeing in games after that is that it's a 50-50 spot, 20-19. So I would not want to be laying those points with a road Bama team that we see doesn't make that difference when it comes to running the ball in that Auburn spot where they're motivated to come back after New Mexico State. So they want to get that taste out of their mouth as well. And everyone's talking about it, I'm sure, up and down the school, the locker room, the sports program itself there with Auburn. And this is their opportunity. Doesn't matter what happened last week. That was clearly the look ahead spot for Alabama coming into town here. So I think it's a good get right spot for Auburn.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's get back into the chat. I think Football Guy kind of questions the defenses for Michigan and Ohio State. You're correct. They haven't played anybody, but they haven't done anything that would lead you to believe that they're a bad team either. I mean, they're crushing the competition like you're supposed to do when you're a good team. I think defensively, that when I just look at that first half, both of these teams haven't given up more than 10 points in the first half to their opponents. I think it's just going to be a rock fight here early. Philly Liverpool FC in the chat says, "Hey, Guns, thoughts on Louisville covering? If you haven't had a side already, we kind of talked about it. Mike said, let's tease this thing down to 1.5. And then you put that with LSU at -6, I believe. So that's the way Mike's playing it. I think if you got the 7, congratulations on that one because it's up to 8 now. Yeah. To me, 3x revenge on this one. I think it's a Louisville or pass. Honestly, that's my opinion on it. I'm not officially playing it because I think, it's -8 at this point. I don't really want to play anything above possession in that rivalry game. Philly Liverpool back in it. He goes, I'm a Gators fan. I think they're going to win outright today versus FSU. I mean, listen, no Jordan Travis. Yeah. I don't know anything about the backups. Actually, both teams, I think, playing with the backup because Graham Mertz is not going to be playing as well. But yeah, it's a rivalry game. So anything can happen in this spot. If there's anyone that's going to go down from a CFP perspective, I think it's probably got to be FSU if there's anybody. But I think everybody else is just going to roll right into their conference championships. Bob the Candyman says, cup of coffee parlay, tasty. That's you damn right it's tasty. I mixed that right with the fresh roasted, ground the beans myself. It was absolutely delectable today. He's got the football guy's got Bama first half -6.5. Can't talk you off that one, but I still like Auburn to keep it close. Auburn paid over $1 million to have their ass kicked. That's correct. That's
Those are great
correct.
stories.
That's
Love
correct.
seeing those stories. Nice job.
Yeah, I'm sure that really, he must have Hugh Freeze must have punched some CMU walls. I would. I would just I would just take it out on somebody because it must have been a bad week of practices for the Auburn Tigers after that loss. Even though Pavea is an absolute legend, Diego Pavea, the quarterback for New Mexico State, they're heading for a conference championship as well. Philly Liverpool says I think has folded season plus 21 points. We'll see.
That's what makes this week and next week so exciting is you just really don't know where those clear-cut motivation spots are, and it isn't so clear-cut. So yeah, I mean any one of these teams could want to go out there and get the job done. You talked about that Florida State game with backup quarterbacks. Auburn could go out there. If Auburn comes in here and beats Bama, nobody cares what happened to New Mexico State, and they effectively are going to knock Bama out of any playoff potential whatsoever. So they're hanging on by a lifeline right now in Bama as well. So they're going to want to try to confidently shut them down. But how Auburn, never underestimate a team this time of the season when it comes to trying to go out there and show that they can hang with the big dogs.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. We'll see. With some of these rivalry games, is like we're just giving our opinions and our takes on this stuff. I mean, we're not like saying this is our top play of the day when we're talking Auburn and Alabama. We're just giving opinions on this one. Is embracing the debate. Everybody loves Bama. Get it. Bama's a strong fan base overall. LBCC asks, ASU, any resistance versus a hot Arizona team? My question is, from Arizona State, what do they got to play for, right? They really had an awful season. They only have 3 wins. This is a rivalry game versus an Arizona team that has just completely flipped themselves around. Jed Fish, tremendous job that he's doing there at Arizona. I'm surprised people aren't trying to throw bags of money at him to come coach their team after what he's done there at Arizona. Arizona State's covered the last 3 versus Arizona State's covered the last 3 versus Arizona. In this one, Arizona did win last season 38-35. They had lost 5 straight versus Arizona State in this rivalry. I wouldn't. Arizona's just a wagon. They're just so hot. It doesn't matter at what position you take them. They just seem to continue to dominate their opponents. They dominated Utah. They played a real close one with Colorado. I'll give you that. But they dominated UCLA. They beat Oregon State. They beat Washington State badly, 44-6. I mean, they're doing what you're supposed to as a good top tier Pac-12 team. I'm not going to stand in the way of Arizona at all. I just think, if anything, if I had a lean on this one, I'd probably just take Arizona first half and then walk away. You never know with these rivalry games. But, yeah, Arizona's just so much better than Arizona State. I don't think Arizona State really gives a shit anymore.
I think the challenge now is you're buying in at probably the worst part of the line, right? If it opened up at 7.5 and 8s and you're seeing 12.5s and 13s, 75% of the bets and 65% of the cash on Arizona.
Yeah.
Arizona, one of the best cover teams in the country at 9-2. And on the other side of the ball, there, Arizona State doesn't score. They score they average like 15 points a game, 16 points a game. So you're not going to get the job done against a team that's confident and comfortable going out there. And they're laying 2 touchdowns. Laying that 2 touchdowns for a reason. So it could be a blowout, in this situation here on the road. Tricky little road spot there, but I wouldn't want any part of Arizona State. I don't care. You'd have to give me 3 touchdowns, and I still wouldn't want Arizona State.
Yeah. I was like, it's night and day between these 2 programs right now. Arizona on the rise, Arizona State on the drop. Trying to figure out who their next coach is going to be. I think they're going to keep Kenny Dillingham around, but I don't. Who knows? It's just his first year. We'll see if he can actually do something with this program. And now football guy just says, let's talk Pitt and Duke. Let's not and say we did. I don't know what you're talking about on that one. Or two monkeys fucking footballs. That's what you got there. It's like Clint says, can we touch on Bo Heisman? At least worth 1 or 2 units shot, right? Yeah, I think Bo's gonna win the Heisman. I think if it's not, he did what he's supposed to do against his rival in Oregon State, just absolutely demolished it. We told you 3-unit play on that one yesterday. And then he's gonna absolutely demolish Washington, in my opinion, next week. The kid is absolutely amazing. I know Jaden Daniels with LSU has put up some really big numbers, and he is statistically the better quarterback than everybody in the country. If you look at the QBR ratings, but Bo Nix is going to be in the college football playoff, and Daniels isn't. And unfortunately, it usually goes to the guy that has the better winning program. And I don't think you can deny Bo Nix not being the Heisman on that one. If you have a good number on a plus with Bo, I would take it. I think Jane Daniel must be the favorite at this point, but that'd be my guess. I was looking at the numbers last night when I was watching him play. I'm like, man, how close is he to the Heisman? And Jaden's just got better numbers, but we'll see on that one. That's me and Bo. You have any thoughts on the Heisman?
My breakdown before that LSU game, week 1 against Florida State, was that Jaden Daniels was live candidate for the MVP for the Heisman Trophy. I didn't get there on it though. At the end of the day, I think you handle your rival team in the way that they did last night was a big deal. Like but as much as the offense went out there and scored, the defense just shut down Oregon State outright. So that was more of, I think in terms of the deciding factor, that was more of a winning game for the defense than it was in the offense. And look at Daniels on his losses, right? Even though he had a couple losses under his belt, he still threw for over 600 yards in one of those games. He was almost 500 yards in another game. He's got over 3,500 yards on the season. And, a case of touchdowns there. He's got almost a 24 pack of touchdowns, I think was the number I saw. So, he's killing it. I think in terms of the Heisman credentials, haven't followed it that closely, but I do think you're right down to it, though. When it comes to it, the team that goes further is going to be the guy that pushes it over the edge. And we'll see. Is LSU officially out of it? I don't know about that just yet, but we'll see what happens with this Bama game. Surprisingly enough, this Bama game could have a ton to go and get involved with when it comes to how LSU and Oregon compete for the Heisman. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting one for sure. Bob, same situation. He goes for Cincy, Bama, take Auburn and Kentucky in the points. That's his opinion on both of those spots. Clint in the chat says no idea. Oh, he's talking about the other game. Okay. Clint goes, Oregon possibly getting revenge game versus Georgia last year's season opener. Yeah, I said that last night. Actually, I was I think I commented on somebody's post about so someone was really high on Oregon. I said Oregon and Georgia to me are the best 2 teams in the country, and if they do have to play each other, it's a motivational revenge spot for Bo Nix. First start with Oregon Ducks, he looked awful versus Georgia, but Georgia was the best team in the country and won the national championship that year. So no hard feelings there. But I think if he gets shot number 2, that's going to be very interesting because that quarterback in Bo Nix, much different than the one that was in week 1 last season. Unbelievable how he turned his entire career correct. Who thought an Auburn quarterback that sucked ass and got booted from the program would be considered a Heisman quarterback at this point? It's just I never thought it would be Bo Nix out of all people.
Well, the Pac-12 doesn't historically play a lot of defense, and that's why they struggle when they do get to the college football playoffs. They get railroaded because you got these teams in SEC that are, NFL ready players right off the hop there, and then you put them out there with a team that doesn't have any defense, and they're going to score at will, and you fall behind. Now you got to put your star quarterback in a bad position to have to pass that ball because you're behind already and you're not getting the job done. So you want to go get a second career in college football and then move yourself out to the Pac-12 and get it done. But it should be fun. I think that's got a lot of that game's got a lot of fun kind of labeled with it as well if we can see that rematch. So, and I think some of these players still know each other from those previous times and we're around the program. So there's definitely more meat on the bone for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, and then a football guy goes, "Oh yeah, that was Malzahn. He stinks as a head coach." Yeah, I guess he
Yeah.
cannot. I mean, imagine not being able to coach up a kid that's going to win the Heisman is unbelievable. Shout out to Dan Lanning and that crew, though. Absolutely, he's got. I mean, all those guys have Bama ties. I mean, most of them, Georgia or Bama ties. So even their defensive coordinator, I think, came from the Saban coaching tree
Coaching
uh,
tree. Yeah.
for Oregon, and it shows. That defense is great. Or I mean, I think the defenses for the Pac-12 are actually improving. UCLA has a really good defense. Oregon State has a good defense. I mean, Oregon definitely has a good defense. I just think that you're undervaluing the defenses for the Pac-12 this season. They're better, but the the amount of offensive production from everybody in the Pac-12 is just exceptional. They have all
Mhm.
the best quarterbacks. All of them are getting talked to. We're talked about early in the season as being Heisman candidates. So I don't take anything away from those defenses at all. I mean, they had a tougher road than what the SEC had to face. I mean, granted, SEC, well, he had LSU, Carson Beck. There's probably like 3 or 4 different teams that had good offenses. Everybody else just, relied on defenses heavily.
Right.
All right, let's go to some of these. Let's go to the next game that's on the board. Let's talk the Apple Cup. Is it
Mm.
Apple Cup? The Apple Bowl? I don't know what to
Apple,
call it anymore. The
apple
Apple Cup.
something.
Yeah, the Apple, Johnny Appleseed, whatever it is. Washington versus Washington State. Uh, Big number here. Obviously, Washington State coming off that humongous beating of Colorado. Colorado team that really is, overvalued in the market, and it showed once they got in the Pac-12 competition. They're going to be playing their rival here, Washington. Typically very close, competitive rivalry, but Washington probably watched Oregon on TV, and maybe we'll be thinking about maybe it's time to beat down a team. They've been playing to the level of their competition lately. The number here I'm looking at was 16-15, I believe. I saw it this morning. I'm
Yeah.
trying to find it
15,
here.
there's 15 and a half, so 16 and a half's out there. So make sure your line shot,
Okay.
depending on what you're looking for. Yep.
And I think we're looking at a public dog here with
Yeah.
Washington State. Makes me want to take Washington in an absolute beating. Penix, trying to get his resume up. What are your thoughts on this game, Mike?
Yeah, I'm with you. I never want to take a team that just had a huge victory out there in a Washington. I mean, it's team dependent, right? I guess it's not an unequivocal statement here, but when you've got a team that came out there and handled Colorado like they did last week, I'm not sure I want to get involved on that side of it. On the other side of things, though, with Penix, he knows what's going on as far as that Heisman race, and whether he still has a chance or not, they're an 11-0 team, so he's very much got a lot to play for. The motivation's out there, even if it's not. He wants to be a finalist. He wants to certainly get himself out to New York City to get recognition for the season that he's had. So I think this is a bad spot for Washington State. And you mentioned it, dude. You got this public road dog. You got all this cash coming in. They're still moving points against this public road dog. Absolutely not for me. I think this is a full gamer, and I like points in this thing too. I think this is going to be a fucking tragedy. I think these guys are going to run up and down the field, and I think the difference is going to be the emotional, and fatigue that went into Washington State last week against Colorado is going to be the differentiator in the second half of this game. So as this game goes on, you're going to continue to see separation where maybe they each score in the first half and we start to see that track meet. But in the second half, I think Washington pulls away with it. They got the better quarterback, the better team all around, the better line, the better defense, top to bottom. It's just a better program than Washington State. And kudos to Washington State for what they've done to get 5-6 this year. But I think they're standing on the tracks and the train's coming through.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a motivational spot. They have 5 wins, 6 will get you to a bowl. But you lost 6 straight before beating Colorado, right? You lost to UCLA, Arizona, Oregon, or Arizona State. You lost to Stanford 10-7. I mean, what happened to this team that won 4 straight? They beat Oregon State, and then they just went downhill from there. Yeah, I think I think Washington's probably the play on this one. I think Penix is due to open it up. They're off a 22-20 win on the road versus Oregon State. Big win for them. Then they beat Utah, USC. So they're doing enough to win these games. They are covering these short spreads, and I think they're just going to open it up here. They beat Washington State last year, 51-33. And they were only 2-point dogs. last season, and now you're seeing them here sitting at 15 or 16 or 14 and a half, whatever number you get it at. So that is a big line swing from year 1 to year 2. It's Washington or pass for me. I'm not going to officially put any bets on this one, but if I had an opinion, I'd probably say Washington murders their rival here in the Apple Cup. As we get back into the chat as it is rolling, appreciate you guys getting involved here. Oops, I think we already hit all everybody in the chat. There we go. All right, let's go into one of my other picks here coming up today, and it's another early one. If I can find it, there we go. We're gonna be going UCF in Houston. Okay, this is a Big 12 rivalry, bottom tier teams, teams that converted from AAC into the Big 12. This game kicks off here at 12 p.m. and I believe this will be at the Bounce House. I don't know why I had it in that order. I just want to make sure that is correct.
Yeah, it's the Bounce House.
Okay, so yeah, it is played at the Bounce House. Excuse me, I had the order flipped up. Big spot for UCF because they have 5 wins. They're 5-6 straight up in ATS this season, coming off that close loss versus Texas Tech on the road. 24-23, tough place to play with a plus 41 net yard average. You look at Houston on the other side, 4-7 straight up, 5-6 ATS, nothing to play for this season. Then they're off back-to-back losses to Cincinnati and Oklahoma State. UCF plays their best ball at home. They have a plus 22 point differential, plus 241 net yard average, -2 turnover ratio. The teams they played at home this season: Kent State, Villanova, Baylor, West Virginia, and Oklahoma State. They crushed Oklahoma State in a downpour too. 3-2 straight up in ATS at home this season, with their only losses were to Baylor by 1 point, and then West Virginia did crush them. Houston on the road this season, -15 point differential, -36 net yard average, 0 turnover ratio, 1-3 straight up in ATS on the road this season. Then you have UCF, motivational time, right? They're playing for their bowl bid. So where you look at Houston, 4 wins, back-to-back home losses. I don't think they got much to play for. They may fire Hogerson after this game because I don't think that the team is really linked, circled around him very much this season. I'm surprised he hasn't been fired yet. So I just think this is a super high motivational spot in the Bounce House. Malzahn will get it done, even though he's a shitty head coach, as Football 97 said. So I just think this is gonna. I think in the Bounce House with that crew, with that crowd, it's gonna be electric. I think UCF not only covers this spread but blows them out. It's 13.5. Okay, I haven't seen if the number has hit the 14. I did get it at 13.5 last night. So I'm seeing it hit 16 and 15.5. Sure as shit. Okay. I did get it at 13.5. I still think it's going to be a blowout. I think Houston's not going to do shit. So I take the number at 15. I'm just glad I got the CLV trophy on this one. So my official number here, UCF -13.5, 2-unit play. There you go. I hate that. It's like, I write this stuff down. I do the prep here early. Then I wake up the next morning and I'm trying to give the play out to the people, and it's already moved 3 points.
Ah, dude, I got that show on Monday to Fridays, and I'll get it all together by 4 o'clock. And by the time the show starts at 6 o'clock, it's moved 3 points. I'm like, how can I give this out now? I barely liked it at the first place, and now I just lost 3 more points. Forget about it. I got to go to another game.
I mean, that line's the line movement on that one's just telling you it's going to be a UCF blowout. It's going to be more than 2 scores, that's for sure. I mean, maybe 21. Yeah. So take that with a grain of salt. I did get the -13.5 last night. It was available. All right. Let's see if there's any of these other big juicy games in here. Ooh, here's a good one.
Yeah, for what it's worth, too. I have a number of teams that are bowl eligible or looking to get bowl eligible, right? So going down the rip with them here, it's a pretty decent sized list, too. But worth noting when you guys are considering some of these other games here, UCF's the top of the list. They're laying that 14. Navy, Northern Illinois, Rice at -4, Syracuse at -2.5 somehow is bowl eligible if they pick up a win. Old Dominion, that's an interesting spot, that Old Dominion game, specifically because the other side of it already has a bowl game locked down. So that should be an interesting spot there for ODU. Lafayette, the Cajuns, the Raging Cajuns are going to be playing the Warhawks there at home as well. So there's an interesting spot for ULL. BYU, Illinois, Vatek. We talked a little bit about Vatek earlier. Marshall, USF, USC, Cal, and then Colorado State. So interesting list of teams that are right there in the hunt if they can pick up a win. So worth knowing, do your research, do your homework when you're making these bets today. Know who's right on the cusp, and that's the list as far as I could see.
Yeah, that ULM Louisiana game was something I really wanted to take. If you actually look at this matchup, if you're the home team in this one, you're not in a good spot. It's an automatic take the road team, and I think ULM's a road team on this one with the spread. I think it was. I'm looking at this right now. Since 1999, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 3-21 ATS the home team is in this matchup. 3-21. It's pretty remarkable.
How's it even possible? Think about that. It's no home field advantage whatsoever.
Yeah, and then you have, but situationally, you have that spot where you said it. Louisiana's playing at home. They're playing for their bowl bid. So the question is, as bad as ULM's been this year, I think they've lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They've lost 9 straight. They've only beaten Army and Lamar. They just lost to Mississippi 35-3. Are you going to stomach taking ULM just based on that trend? I don't know.
Here's another one to compound things as well. The line opened at -12.5. They have 71% of the bets and 78% of the cash. It hasn't moved, so it's a frozen line on top of everything else. You bet on that game, you might need some help. Far be it for me to judge anybody else's degenerate behavior, but that is screaming the degen. Unless you live in that area, and that's it's a proud spot you want to bet on. So
I say this. I would say take ULM just for like a unit, just based on that trend alone. I'm telling you, it's like clockwork that game. You just it happens at the same time every year. It's the last game of the season every single year, and the road team always covers the spread. The road team.
That's an impressive record. That's worth noting for next year as well.
Yeah. All right, next game on the board we're going to talk about here, another rivalry, in-state rivalry, UNC NC State. This game kicks off here at 8:00 p.m. No implications as far as bowls eligibility or ACC playoff, ACC conference championship ability on this one. You have the favorite here, UNC -2.5. And I actually got a play on this one, but I'll pass it to you, Mike. What are your thoughts, UNC versus NC State?
I think I get based on your cup of coffee. I think I know where we're going with this one. And,
and
I like it too. I think UNC is vulnerable in this case here. They're primed to get plucked off. I had a couple different looks there that showed NC State was a live dog in this thing here. Winning in the most recent number I have pulled up on my screen here has to do with the streaks that they're on. When they've got a streak of more than 2 games, but they haven't covered. They covered the spread by at least 1 point or more over the course of that streak. Then they're 325 and 142. So that's a 70% win rate outright. And they're winning by almost 11 points. I love that spot for NC State here. What's wrong with the Wolfpack? Nothing today. I think they come out there and they feast on that Tar Heels team that I think is a little overrated. I mean, I know they've had some big wins early in the season, but again, this is a good opportunity to get a prime number based on overinflation of a public team like UNC.
I basically just looked at this cap as pure and simple. NC State's playing really good right now, and UNC's not. UNC hasn't played well since beating Miami by 10 weeks and weeks ago, 5 games ago, 6 games ago. I mean, they're 8-3 straight up, 6-5 ATS this season. But they're 2-3 straight up and 1-4 ATS in their last 5 games. You look at NC State on the other side; they're 8-3 straight up, 6-5 ATS as well. But they're 4-1 straight up in ATS in their last 5 games. So this is a team that's playing a lot better than their opponent. UNC is a team that loves to dominate at home, but when they play on the road, it's a different story. They only have a +4 point differential, plus 22 net yard average on the road this season, which pales in comparison to their home performance. 1-2 ATS on the road this season, 3-4 ATS versus conference opponents overall. Then you look at NC State at home, +7 point differential, -25 net yard average, +3 turnover ratio. But look at the teams they had to play at home this season. Pretty strong opponents. They had to play Notre Dame. Got smoked by Notre Dame in that game. Lightning storm, delayed, and the whole thing. Louisville, Marshall, Clemson, and Miami. That's the teams that they had to play at home, and they have a plus 7-point differential. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
They're 4-2 straight up in ATS at home this season, 5-2 ATS versus their opponents, conference opponents. UNC struggles stopping the run. They allow 4.6 yards per carry in the last 4 games versus conference opponents. NC State can run the ball, 4.1 yards per carry this season. NC State has won the last 2 meetings straight up, and they are just playing better than UNC right now, as UNC is a falling knife, and I think it's going to fall right in the bowl season too. I don't think this team is a paper tiger, in my opinion, overvalued in the market. Give me NC State as the dog here, plus 2.5, 2 unit, and we're going to sprinkle a little bit on the money line for another half a unit. Make that a 2.5 unit banger on this one, plus 170 on the money line for another half unit. So 2 units on the spread, half a unit on the money line. NC State. And the chat is cooking on this one, even though football guy, we are going to embrace debate. He likes UNC minus 2.5. It is all good. I don't think they get it done here, but listen, this is a big game, and I talked about this last night on the show. UNLV at San Jose State, the late night degenerate special. I think it's late night. Is it not? Maybe it's not. UNLV wins. They host Mountain West. Yes, there are implications there. I don't think, based on the schedule, based on the teams they've played, San Jose State is one of the stronger opponents they've ever faced. They got to do it at home. They're better road. They're better as a dog. They're better as a road dog. Seeing them as a favorite at home is very scary. I like San Jose State. I think they get it done. I think they get the win. They're going to be motivated to play UNLV in this spot. And I got 2.5. I think I got about plus 2.5, and I sprinkled a little bit on the money line as well last night. I think that was a 3-unit play for me. Bob the Candyman in the chat says VA beat them. That's right. They did beat North Carolina at Virginia. NC State in the points. He loves it here. Yes, 3 p.m. I knew it was an earlier game. I was thinking of the other game I was thinking of was San Diego State that I was on. I got a lot of Mountain West play here today. Today, yeah. And he loves it. He don't like it. He loves it. He doesn't want it. He needs it. The Candyman can. All right, let's talk about another type of rivalry game on this one. Let's go Clemson, South Carolina. If you remember last year, Clemson got beat by South Carolina. I believe it was at Clemson when that game happened. So there is a revenge angle with this game. This game does kick off here at 7:30 p.m. under the lights in South Carolina. What are your thoughts on this game, Mike? Gamecocks and Tigers.
Clemson has been a pile of dog shit for me all season. I can't seem to find the right time to back them, and then when I fade them, they end up coming back and winning. I did finally get on the right side of it this past week against UNC with Clemson. For whatever reason, I felt like that was the right spot there. Georgia Tech the week prior, big wins for them as well. But now we're kind of at the end of the movement. We're up to 8s, and I'm starting to see some 8.5s peeking their heads out there. So a lot of points for South Carolina. I woke up this morning, it was like 7. It went to 7.5. Now we're at 8, and it continues to move. We have a lot of public, not just bets. It's around 50% of the bets, but the cash, it's almost 80% cash on that South Carolina side now. And that is now movement. That's later movement now that we've seen that 8. So it seems like the suspicion from the sharp bettors there, the bigger bettors traditionally are saying they've got the better part of the number. Now they could be looking for the hedge or the arbitrage spot there where they picked it up at 7. Now they got the 8, and they're hoping to catch money either way. But I think this is a good spot to take the dog here with South Carolina. Plus 8 points for a Clemson team that, revenge on the mind, but I'm not a big Clemson backer this year. I think they've overplayed themselves here. It's going to be a rivalry. It's a big spot. South Carolina always comes in and finds a way to play them tough. So I like to see that repeat itself here today.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Clemson lately. They, ever since the Notre Dame game, they kind of stepped up the road. They lost back-to-back road games, Miami and NC State. Then they go and play Notre Dame, and they win by a possession. Then they play Georgia Tech. Supposed to be a flat spot with North Carolina on deck. Didn't happen. 42-21. They smoked them. So they played 3 back-to-back home games. Now they're back on the road where they play their weakest. They have the minus 5-point differential, but they're favored 7 here. There is a revenge angle there. I think Dabo's always been pissed off since that caller fired him up about why you paid so much. I was like, It was a bad call from a young kid. And he got bodied by Dabo. And ever since then, that team's been smoking and running on all cylinders. However, South Carolina playing at home, playing for their bowl lives here. They have 5 wins. They've won 3 straight. Granted, the competition's been a lot weaker. Jacksonville State, Vanderbilt, and Kentucky. I don't know about this one. This is a complete pass for me. Seeing Clemson favored by 7 on the road. I have the number here. Let's say 6.5. That's the number I'm coming up with right now. Yeah, it's a no play for me. You never know. I mean, you have 2 teams that are Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, right? They either want to play or they don't want to play. But yeah, both have motivation going to this game, that's for sure. Bob the Candyman says like South Carolina and the Pints.
Funny, I was laughing just thinking to myself, like I'm gonna have to play this game just because I've lost so many times with Clemson that I gotta I just gotta try to get it right here. So hopefully today it is. And this will be a game that I bet on here, later time slot window. So it'll be interesting. I don't know that I'll watch it, but I'll have some money on it for sure.
Yeah, you checked the line last year. Last year the line was 14, and South Carolina won the game outright 31-30. Now you're seeing the line here. It's hitting at 7. It is a South Carolina line, I would say, but yeah, it's no, I don't want anything to do with that one because you never know. Clemson, I don't know how pissed off Clemson is.
Right.
Like, they're just playing 3 straight wins all at home. I haven't seen them do their pissed off tour on the road yet. They haven't taken it on the road. This is going to be a sample. If they do come out and demolish this team, I want to see who they have to face in their bowl game because that's going to be very interesting because Clemson plays very well in bowls, as you know. Doesn't matter what position they are. They will go into bowls highly and super motivated. They always do. Dabo always has those guys hitting right on all cylinders. But man, I think we did it. An hour and 2 minutes into this broadcast. 26 of you beautiful bastards watching us live. More of you guys watching us on Twitter. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you have every time we go live. We not only have college football content, we have NFL content, we have college basketball content, we have NBA content, we have all content for you to feast on in Feast Week. So make sure you hit the subscribe button so you know, and the bell for that matter, so you know every time we go live. And also follow me on GunzPicks. The name is right there. And then follow my guy Mike as well if you don't on Twitter at PimpSlapPod, and you can also go check him out on Pub Sports everywhere. I'll let you do it, Mike. Tell the people where else they can find you. Talk about your shows, that kind of thing.
Yeah, man. We got first of all, I appreciate the opportunity to get in here and mix it up with you and talk with this chat, these beautiful bastards out there in the chat, as you said, and appreciate you guys getting up early to join us and share your picks too, because that's what makes it fun, the interaction and seeing who's on what. And it's okay that we're on different sides as long as my side wins. So at the end of the day, look, I got an opportunity with Pub Sports Radio called Last Call. If you haven't heard about it, 6 p.m. Eastern, 6 to 7, Monday to Friday. We go down the rip, all the games of the line movements that have taken place. We talk about my card that I'm betting out there, the trends, the angles, trying to connect the dots with the information you guys need to get to the window and get you paid. We've had profitable 4 or 5 weeks deep now and making cash all over the place. We cashed a nice big plus 400 spot the other night on a player prop. And that's what it's all about, props, sides, totals, and trying to give you guys all that information as you're just getting out of work and getting ready to rock and roll to get those bets and have a good night. So that being said, let's get those bets. Let's have a good night. And let's continue to build these bankrolls, man. We got all kinds of things happening here, live streams all over the place. And you'll find me Monday night. I'll be live streaming as well with the game over there at Pub Sports there, Monday Night Football. So I had a lot of fun yesterday, man. That was a great day. That NFL, for the game itself being the way it was, we were firing winners out all over the place, and that's what it's all about, man. So it was a good time. Appreciate you hanging out.
Yeah, I went 3-0 on the show. I went 3-0 in college basketball, and then once I got off the show, I went 0-4. So it was like they all went, and I was like, oh, and I looked at one of my picks. I'm like, fuck, I fucked up on the Marshall one. I clicked the wrong. I was looking at the wrong statistical thing, and I went, oh god, I hit the wrong one. It happens. Sometimes you make mistakes. I'm capping too many goddamn sports. That's the problem. Football guy says, good luck. Let's have a day. He wants some table tennis picks. Bob wants to talk about Vandy. They're playing Tennessee on the road. I'm not going to 27 points. Who cares? I don't want to even touch that game. I mean, Vandy stinks. Bob said, thanks, guys. LVCC, go Gophers. Make sure you guys hit the cup of coffee parlay. I'll give it out one more time for you all. Washington money line, Jacksonville State money line, Clemson money line, NC State money line, Bama money line, UGA money line, San Jose State money line, Louisville money line, Colts of Carolina +8. We're not taking the money line on that one. App State money line, Notre Dame money line, Texas State +6, 8,643 plus on that cup of coffee. So make sure you just put a little bit on that one for fun. And of course, I'll give you the 5-legger for the short one. That we call this the midget parlay, the espresso. We call this the espresso. But because it's a short cup. Ball State, Tulsa, San Jose State, Jacksonville State, I'm sorry, NC State, money line, all 5. Get them at plus 4,708. Let's cash some tickets today, boys. Of course, I gave you Ball State, UCF, and NC State on the plus, and those are UCF's lines kind of really escaped. Ball State, you can sprinkle in the money line. NC State, you might as well do the same thing as well. That's going to do it for the Saturday mornings with Guns Picks. Mike, thank you for joining me once again. Love having you on. Love the energy that you bring to this show, and the chat loves you as well. So let's dominate the board. Let's cash some tickets. And as always, let's keep dancing. Bang. Yeah.